Hi, I'm Liron Cohen.
And I'm Mimi Torchin.
And you're listening to Lady Parts TV, the podcast.
Whee!
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome back to our podcast. I'm not even going to give you stats today because I don't even think, besides Wentworth, we didn't really watch any current shows last week. So no stats. That's it. Blame the pandemic, not us.
And politics.
Oh, because of the conventions? Yeah, but we still wouldn't have had anything new to watch, really.
That's true.
Good news is, though, that SVU, which is SVU, some of you know it as SVU.
Yes.
SVU, all the Chicago shows, This Is Us, they're coming back mid-November.
The Voice.
Even though it's a ways away, at least it's coming back. I didn't even know that we would have a new season this year, so I'm happy at least something is happening.
Yes, me too.
Blue Jays again.
Of course. Blue Jays are always squawking.
But, when there's nothing on network, thank goodness for streaming services.
Thank goodness.
And this time we have a new streaming service to tell you about, and it's called Topic. And it's already there. We actually have been getting quite a few things from them, but up until now, nothing really, sat with me in a way that I felt justified telling you to get a new streaming service. But actually, the first thing that made me want to tell you about it was a few weeks ago when we heard that.
Yeah, The Accidental Wolf, starring Kelly O'Hara, and others that you'll know and have heard of, is going to... They're going to have the first season and the second season.
Yeah, I think they're like doing they're remaking the first season.
Oh,
I think so.
Too bad. I thought it was pretty terrific, just the way it was.
Maybe they're just augmenting it or something. I don't know. But I remember reading something about they're redoing something for the first season. But yes, they've already got licensed them for a second season, which is very exciting.
We've been waiting. It's been about a year at least, hasn't it?
Oh, more than that.
More than a year. This is an interesting, like a conspiracy. Kind
of a web series.
Yes, it is, and it is a conspiracy kind of a movie. And Kelly O'Hara's character accidentally
runs into a wolf. No, just kidding.
I don't know why they call it the Accidental Wolf, but it's because she's very strong. She does things that normally she wouldn't do. She goes into dark warehouses to meet strangers, and it's very compelling. And we even gave $20 towards the next season. At the end of the first season, they said, if you want a second season or some point in there, please give us $20, and we just threw in our $20.
Well, this is what happens when Kelly asks for anything.
Yes, if Kelly asks, we do it.
But so Topic, you can find it on topic.com, or it also is available on Roku, devices like that, and I think you can get it through Amazon Prime Video.
Also, I think when I read something about it, it said Apple iOS.
Yes, all of that. Yeah. All of those. That's what I meant when I said devices. All those like Amazon Fire Stick or whatever it's called. All those things. But their website is topic.com. And the reason that we're telling you also about The Accidental Wolf is because something that I really like that they're doing, obviously, is that they're taking on very interesting web series and giving them a platform. And this web series that we have to tell you about today is premiering there actually September 3rd, and it's called Release. It's created by Joe Penna and Ryan Morrison. And it's a web series, but you would never be able to tell because the same thing with The Accidental Wolf. The production values are so
stunning.
Yes,
they're
it
so
looks
good.
like a movie.
Really,
the acting is superb. Even though we didn't know many of them, the only actress we recognized was Anjanou. I'm sorry if
I never can say it. Anjanou Ellis. You'll recognize her when you see her
immediately.
And anyway, the name you can figure it out.
Right. But otherwise, I didn't really recognize any of the actors, but they were all just fantastic.
Excellent. And the writing was good, and I mean...
Everything about it was top-notch. I thought I was watching a movie. And what's really, though, thrilling about this show, which...
I guess it's thrilling.
Well, it's thrilling because, you know what? So many people told me that when the pandemic started, they immediately thought of Contagion. Some people, like us, couldn't bear
we still
thought.
might.
Yeah, I think we will, because actually we have been told by some people that it was almost therapeutic to rewatch it after the pandemic started. So this web series was created before the pandemic, and it's all about a pandemic. And it's not only all about a pandemic, but it captures so well the effects that a pandemic has on the psychology of people, on societies, on relationships. And it was so good. It's 6 episodes, and each one is between 8 and 15 minutes long. Each one is kind of self-contained.
Its own story.
Right, of different people and how they respond or what happens to them, how the pandemic catches them. And the last one especially, the last one spoke more about the trauma and the psychological ramifications of living through a pandemic.
That I'll bet a lot of people are going through.
Absolutely. I think a lot of you will sympathize with it and truly relate. And the thought that these people made this before the pandemic happens is so prescient, and it's so deeply understanding of human nature. It was just excellent. It was one of the best things I've seen all year, honestly.
Yes, it was quite sensational. Mm-hmm.
So I really think they probably have a free trial if you go to topic.com. If you needed a reason to try them and to use your free trial, then Release is definitely the first thing you should try there. But they do have a very good catalog of international, shows from all over the world, very high quality stuff. So do check it out and watch Release. It will take up 40 minutes of your time, and it will it will stay with you. It stayed with me.
Yeah, I would watch it all of a piece instead.
Oh, definitely. Mm-hmm. It's shorter than a movie. Why not? Mm-hmm. Release, premiering on Topic September 3rd.
I'm going to talk about a new documentary called Robin's Wish, it's directed by Tyler Norwood. It's his directorial feature film debut, and it's co-written by Norwood and Scott Fizzlehoff.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, and it's about the last year, maybe the last year of Robin Williams, who was struck with Lewy body's disease,
which nobody knew.
Nobody knew anything about. He was failing. He was losing his memory. He was having odd symptoms.
Even hallucinations,
and they did every test in the book on him. They gave him brain scans constantly. They couldn't figure it out. They finally did. Post-mortem. But he didn't commit suicide because he was depressed. I think he committed suicide because his brain was being destroyed, and he couldn't go on.
Well, and in fact, suicide, there are extremely high rates of suicide in Lewy body. It's considered almost a symptom. Because I don't think you can say that he was affected by his disease and felt so bad that he wanted to kill himself, because how can you separate what how the disease ravaged his brain? How can you separate that from the decision to commit suicide?
Exactly.
It's part of the disease also, right. Because he was just losing his mind.
I don't know if I said this. Did I say that it's called Robin's Wish?
It's called Robin's Wish, and it's going to be available on demand and VOD September 1st.
Yes, and what's interesting is I have never been a fan of Robin Williams. He's too manic for me. But after watching this documentary, I got to know him a little bit better and understand that his mind was so superior. It was so fast that he couldn't sort of help but be the way he was, because he was constantly creating. His mind was constantly moving, and it was propelling him on. I remember once watching a show on HBO, a comedy show where there were 5 great comics, and he had his turn, and then he got up in the middle of almost everybody else's 10 minutes and interjected and did things. And I kept saying, sit down, it's not your turn. You've had your moment. And I just think that he had this mind that propelled him
He was a genius.
forward. He was a genius. And the way it manifested himself was this sharing of his mind.
But he was also, by all accounts, and especially in this movie, one of the nicest, kindest,
people
most
loved
down
him
to earth
so much.
person.
It has interviews with his wife, Susan Schneider Williams, people that we didn't really know that
People
much.
he worked with,
Sean
David E.
Levy,
Kelly.
John R. Montgomery, Rick Overton, who people do know, and David Kelly. And the good news is though, even though they talk about him failing, and you do see him be a little frail, you don't really. They don't make you suffer through the ravages of the disease with him so much. You don't see him being inarticulate or losing his memory. It showed how they talked about how very difficult it was for him to shoot Night at the Museum, but that they just worked with him and worked with him and worked around him, and they loved him so much. They didn't care how many takes it took.
And this is kind of why when he did die, there were so many theories as to why he died, because all the people who worked with him didn't know what to make of his failing and didn't talk to anybody about it and protected him because he was feeling so insecure and so ashamed and so scared about it all, and they were protecting him, so nobody really knew in the real world out there, audiences,
what was going on.
Yeah, we didn't know about the deterioration. So all of a sudden, when that happened, when he died, everybody was taken by surprise, and it kind of came out of nowhere. But if, in fact, the people who know him knew that it didn't come out of nowhere.
And it also affected sleep. And he began cycling. And it was a way for him to focus on something and to work off energy. And sometimes he would cycle 40 miles a day.
Yeah.
And it was a great release for him.
It was a really, really good movie.
What they say that I want to read this, okay, because it says, this incredible story sheds an entirely new light on the tragedy, beauty, and power behind the mind of one of the greatest entertainers of all time. And it really did. It made me see him in a different light.
Yeah.
I'm eager now to go back and see some movies that I thought he was brilliant in, but sort of couldn't get past my feelings about him, having seen him work live.
I think also, though, that this movie is important because the fact that he wasn't diagnosed, or that he was misdiagnosed, is because this is a very tricky disease to diagnose. And I think it's very important for people to see this so that they know the symptoms, so that they maybe can recognize that in somebody else before it takes that person away from them too. Because it really is a very deceiving disease. And so I think it's very important that people are more aware of it.
With many symptoms that could have to do with
they
many
overlap.
things.
Yeah,
exactly.
they overlap.
Now, I think you could see it in the brain, all those little dots.
Yeah, but I
things
guess
that
you have
took
to
over
look
his
for
brain,
it.
but
I think you have to look for it. And especially because what they saw in the post-mortem was already a scan of somebody that the disease was so advanced
It
in.
had taken over most of his brain.
So maybe when they were first scanning him, it wasn't as obvious.
Yeah.
But also, I guess they weren't looking for it. Again, it's the kind of thing that the more people are aware of it, the better. So you can, just see the signs. God forbid, if Anyway, it's a really affecting movie.
It is. It is called Robin's Wish. When you see the movie, you'll know why it's called Robin's Wish.
Yeah,
and
very, very beautiful.
It is. It's sad and moving, but it's
a good tribute,
a very fine tribute to him. Yes, indeed. So, my turn again.
Your turn again.
Now, this looks very exciting to me. It's a heads up for a new series called Away. It drops on Netflix Friday, September 4th. 10 episodes. It was created by Andrew Hinderaker. Why don't people just have names like Smith and Jones and Goldberg and just things that are easier to say?
Yes, Ms. Torchinsky.
Yeah, my name is not Torchinsky. It stars the wonderful Hilary Swank. What's the matter with me? I can't wrap my tongue around names
Swan.
I know.
There's lovely. Yes.
Hilary Swank, Josh Charles, Vivian Wu, and Vina Sud.
Among others.
Among
just
many. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's about an American astronaut going to Mars. But
the astronaut is
Hilary Swank. Well, it's a world. It's
It's an international mission.
Group of people, and
but we only care. No, we don't only care.
No,
but she's the protagonist. She's the lead.
Yes, exactly. And of course, she struggles leaving her husband and her child. And this is a very dangerous.
Of course,
mission.
Somebody at some point will be untethered.
Oh my God, yes. And they're going to Mars. Shit happens. Okay.
But what I find interesting is that they were able to combine a family drama with a space.
Yes,
thing.
Absolutely. Well, that's sort of what For All Mankind.
Yes,
did
but in
also.
this case, it seems, at least from the trailer, that there will be more kind of a family drama because something happens to Josh Charles, who's the husband who stays home with the daughter. And I think they intentionally wanted to balance it more, like that it's a more of an equal family drama. Because also, you see the other people in the mission also talking to
their family. At one point, one of the other people say, "You think you're the only person who has these problems?
Exactly.
We're all, and this is happening to all of us."
Right, globalization. We are all the same, all across the world.
Some of us aren't even the same as our neighbors across the street.
But we still have the very most basic in the pyramid. The bottom.
It looks sensational. It looks absolutely thrilling. I love the idea of it. I hope they get to Mars. I want to see what it's like. I remember that wonderful, I think it was on the History Channel or the National Geographic channel called Mars. And it...
So it was about Mars.
It was about a crew of astronauts who went to Mars.
Yeah. No, I'm just making fun of that. By the way, for you Wentworth fans,
yes,
Jet Wilkinson, whom you might remember as one of the directors,
the prime directors,
one of the. Well, they're also great on Wentworth, really. But Jet Wilkinson, we actually interviewed her by email because she's so shy to be on the other side of the.
Did an interview with us.
And she since then has moved to the United States. She's working on some of the best shows
all the time. Yes.
Yep. And in fact, when she was working on this show, and I was corresponding with her, and she said, "Oh, I'm currently working on a show called The Way with Hilary Swank," and I said, "Well, now you're just shamelessly name dropping, okay?" So she directed one episode, and I'm so happy that this show, because when the pandemic happened, I thought, oh. Damn, I didn't know that they actually finished shooting, so it's really great that it's going to be...
Yes, it's 10 episodes, and I think it's going to be thrilling. I mean, Mars is our next frontier. Well, actually,
I sure hope we don't all have to move there.
Actually, the election is our next frontier.
Which leads me to, I hope we don't all have to move
to Mars, exactly.
Netflix.
Anyway, Netflix.
Friday,
cool.
September
Everybody
4th.
has Netflix, and if you don't, you should.
Friday, September 4th, definitely recommending.
Definitely, with only having seen the trailer.
Finally, something that's right up our feminist alley.
Ow!
Take your mind out of that gutter, woman. I Am Woman. It's a heads up for a new film that's coming out September 11th. And, everything that's coming out now is very limited in theaters, but it will be streaming as well, September 11th.
I mean, I want this pandemic to be over. I want to be sitting in a theater again someday. But I just love everything coming to my bedroom.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'm sure that this will change a lot of our habits and a lot of how industries out there work. It will be interesting to see, actually, what stays and what doesn't, what sticks.
I'm wondering, is Disney, though, really charging $30 to screen Mulan?
Yeah.
I really want to see that movie.
Well,
I guess I'm going to be...
Fuck them.
93 by the time I'm going to be willing to pay the $250 it'll cost somewhere.
I mean, $30, really? Because Disney is so strapped for cash, Anyway, I Am Woman was directed by Anju Moon and written by Emma Jensen, so a double
whammy.
Yep.
Director writer.
Yep. Starring the virtually unknown Tilda Cobham Harvey, and yes, she's
Hervey. It looks like Hervey.
Oh, Hervey. Sorry, She has done a few things, but this is, I think, her first big thing. Danielle MacDonald, who's a wonderful, again, rising star, also Australian. You may have seen her recently in Unbelievable. And Evan Peters, one of Ryan Murphy's favorite actors.
he's in all of the American
Horror
Story, horror shit, whatever that's
Horror
called.
Story.
Yeah.
And this is a story of Helen Reddy.
Never mind.
We don't have the copyrights, but
right.
I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar, in numbers too big to ignore. So she is both the writer and the original singer, even though the song, of course, has had many renditions. Many. So this takes place in 1966 when Helen Reddy moves from Australia to New York and meets the manager who will also become her husband, Jeff Wald, and a rock journalist who will also become her best friend, Lillian Roxon, and moves to California in the attempt to get a record deal. And this is the story of both all the obstacles and discrimination she's met because of being a woman, which led to the creation of one of the greatest anthems of the feminist movement, which collided
today,
at the same time with the second wave feminism.
The second wave of feminism,
right. So this is really just my cup of tea.
I mean, just in the preview, we saw things I wanted to slap a few men's faces. Just the stupidity of that kind of
I think
anti-woman.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not getting paid the same as the men. Well, they have families to feed.
And she's, I have a family to feed too.
Exactly.
You know, again, it's sort of like when you realize how long it took that women didn't have the vote, when men had the vote, that black people couldn't vote for such a long, civilized times, people, modern times.
Oh, well, civilized, that would be, I'm using
modern
that loosely.
Times. 1966, into
Excuse
the 70s.
Me, women still don't have equal pay.
But the depth of the prejudice against women in the workforce, but it's anything but homemakers.
It's still going on.
It's just incomprehensible to me.
And let me tell you that it makes me sad. But when I saw the trailer for this movie, and I thought, wow, so we have a movie about this. We were just watching the trailer for Away with a female astronaut. Again, trying to be. I mean, it's ahead of its time. And I was thinking, finally more women doing more things.
Well, the arts.
But. The sad thing about, yes, you were about to say the arts, but it's not even the arts. It's because right now there's more money in it. Yeah. Because right now they've realized that there is money in making things with women as leads, with stories about women trying to get power and all that stuff, because it's right for the times.
Exactly. And they realize that women have money and women want to see things about themselves, and men are perfectly happy to pay for things about women. It was like after the Marigold Hotel that they realized there was a market for people for old films about old people.
But that's the sad part, that I'm watching this and I'm excited about it, and at the same time it's clear
it's
to
all
me
about money.
Yes, because they would never have put money in this if they didn't think that they could make a lot of money out of it. That's not how it works. With the exception of, a lot of little indie things that people make on a shoestring budget, if it got an actual distribution like this.
Well, I do think that some of the Patty Jenkins and Wonder Woman and some of a lot of the new action films that feature women very prominently, if not as the star, they've made so much money. I think that as far as that is concerned, and of course theater always was welcoming to women. Maybe not so much early on, because early on it was all male. We just watched something that showed us that in the 40s and the 50s, all the playwrights were men.
And we also just heard the statistics that last year, out of all the blockbuster movies that came out, 95% of them were directed by men. So even though
the playing field for directors is definitely an uphill battle.
So much of it is an uphill battle, and
carrying a rock on their neck, like pushing it up like Sisyphus.
Exactly, and again, whenever something like this happens, I remind myself that it's because right now they know that there's an audience. But it always works in tandem, because the arts are interested in pushing boundaries, but they don't get funded unless. So, but then. That's how I think about, for example, about the gay rights movement, because we had to. It kind of goes toe to toe. You have to get them to change their minds, but then when you get them to change their minds even a little bit, and you manage to get a gay person out there into the public view, then they change their minds, and it's easier to get the next one funded, and then that helps shape public opinion and gets the next one funded.
Films are so expensive too that they can't really take a chance. But the theater, especially many female playwrights, young ones in particular, are coming out of theater companies. And these are companies that are driven by grants, they're driven by subscriptions, and they're way more prone to give women an opportunity to write. And that's why a lot of off-Broadway plays that eventually come to Broadway, there are more women playwrights in the last 5 or 6 or 10 years than in the whole rest of my time before this.
Well, anyway, though, this is TV and film.
Yeah.
The good news about this is that the modern technology and streaming and websites and all that
They
stuff.
need content desperately.
They both that and now everybody with a camera can shoot something.
Yes.
So the opportunities are more there for people even without a big budget, even without getting a huge studio behind them. It's easier to get your stuff out there to people. So, things are moving, but it's always this push me, pull me thing.
Right. And there's and lesbian films. If you really want to talk about something they're very hard to.
Well, let's talk
our
about
friend
Ammonite.
Ammonite.
We're waiting for
Yes,
that. Don't worry,
are.
we will let you know when there's something to let you know about. Well, the only thing we know right now is that it's coming out in November, that it looks really good, that Saoirse Ronan and Kate Winslet had to choreograph their own sex scenes. Which, if you really want a discussion, we can have one. I have a lot of feelings in the subject. It's not all positive, but positive about the girls.
Oh, yes.
Not positive about the situation that actually made them having to do that. But I will say this, which is I heard that Kate Winslet said, because she is 45, post 2 children and all that, and Saoirse Ronan is half her age. And I love Kate Winslet because she said...
I adore Kate Winslet.
She said that she really had to put a lot of emphasis on herself to not try to change the way she looked because of the fear of, weight and stretch marks and things like that. And I admire her so much.
Oh, I love her. Well, Kate Winslet has always been up and down in her weight, because really her weight is not to be a skinny person.
I don't even want to talk about her weight.
Yeah,
I don't care about her weight. What I want to say
I'm happy to say that I see she's just going with it.
I want to say that I don't care what her weight is, because you can be very thin and have a terrible body image.
Absolutely.
And you can be not very thin and have great body image. And so it doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that she didn't want to change herself in order to
play this woman.
In order to be on film and be a symbol to all the women of, you have to attain this look or this look, this is the better look. No, this is me. I'm 45. I've had 2 children. I'm not this young girl who is,
Yes. And most of the women watching are going to...
Exactly.
She's going to appeal... They're going to have her body type rather than probably Saoirse's.
Anyway, I love it. I can't wait for it. We have to wait a couple of months, but hopefully we'll get a screener before that, and we'll let you know.
We will.
Well, we also want to tell you before we go, Saturday, September 5th, noon EST, we're doing the premiere broadcast of the Lady Parts TV Awards, and we invite you to be with us on the live chat.
And to chat, to comment, to...
Well, because if you watch it with us at noon EST on September 5th, we will be there to chat with you, so you can... The winners will be revealed to everybody at once. Of course, you can watch it later in the archive on yourself, alone in your room. But
please come, because we don't want to just be talking to each other. We do that all day long, every day.
No, Bridget will be there.
Oh, Bridget. Thank you, Bridget. Yes.
And secondly, we were going to do a lesbian movie club about Lizzie.
Yes.
And we ran into some technical difficulties, and so we got postponed. Next week we won't be able to do it because we're doing the Lady Parts TV Awards, but it will be coming, so there's that to look forward to as well. And of course, Talking Teal, every Sunday be there. All right. Thank you for joining us for our podcast. Bye.